everybody. Welcome to another episode of Songwriting Simplified with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk here in Scotland, capital of literally everything and every dimension imaginable, conceivable, inconceivable, and everything else. I thought I'd recycle that joke. It's been a wee while since I've done it, so why the heck not? Anyway, it's that kind of a day, to be honest. Some of you may have noticed that there has been a significant outage with my.personas.com accounts, and some of you therefore have not been able to activate or even launch Studio One, Notion, or any other Personas product. And in fact, some of you may well have seen that you have no products in your my.personas.com accounts. All of those issues have now been resolved. It's only taken a few hours, but we've managed to get them all resolved. So I've had a very, very long day. However, everything should now be fixed. So if you are logging into your my.personas.com account and it still says no products to display, then please log out, log back in, clear your browser cache, do all of those things, and, then do a hard refresh of your browser, and your products should repopulate in your account. That's issue number one. Issue number two. If you are a Studio One Pro Plus subscriber, when you've attempted to launch Studio One or even activate Studio One with the subscription, you may have seen an error message that says something along the lines of an error code 500, something like that. That issue has also now been resolved, so you should now be able to activate again with the subscription license file. For those of you that are perpetual Studio One Pro 7 license holders, you may well have seen an error message. It's not the same. It's a different error message entirely that basically says that you don't have a license, or words to that effect. That issue is also now resolved as well. So everything is now fixed, and it's taken a wee while, but I'm starting to personally get reports back from people that had messaged me, and I've been messaging back as well, and they're all coming back saying that they can now activate, their products are back, and everything's all good. So all of these issues should now be sorted. If you are still having a problem with activation or products not showing up in your account, either of those two issues, whether you're a perpetual license holder or you're a subscriber to Studio One Pro Plus, please make a support ticket from your my.personas.com account. And in the menu at the top, click on support, and then click on the blue plus icon to create a new ticket. Make sure you fill it out properly. Don't just say, not working. That's not going to help support help you. The best thing you can do when you fill out that ticket is in each of the field boxes for selecting products and things like that, instead of doing the search and scrolling through, just type what the product is. So if it's Studio One Pro 7, type in Studio One Pro 7, and then it will be the only option that you can select, and then you just select that. If it's to do with Studio One Pro Plus, type in Studio One Pro and then type in the word plus after it, and then you should be able to select that as well. Same with your operating system. If it's Windows 11, type in Windows 11. Same deal. And you can fill out all the aspects of the field just by typing. You don't have to scroll and try and find your product or anything like that. And then fill out details with exactly what issue you are seeing. Attach some screenshots, all that stuff. And then the tech support team will be able to get with you and figure out what your issue is. There may still be some accounts that are broken, and they are just coincidentally broken. It's not related to this particular outage. It could just be that there is something else completely separate that has caused the issue. And you also need to make a support ticket. Because it may well be that there's some other aspect of your account that's broken and needs fixed. And that will all get squared away. So please, when you do make a ticket, please be patient in waiting for the tech support team to get back to you, because, you know, with issues like this, a lot of people make a lot of tickets, and some people make 5, 6, 7, or even 8 or more tickets because they are just panicked. Obviously, maybe they're in the midst of working with clients and things like that, and so they are panicked and very concerned that they can't actually get their work done with their client. But unfortunately, making multiple tickets just creates a bigger problem for support, because then they have to go and kind of clear all of that up before they can even actually try and respond to you. So please don't make multiple tickets, just make the one ticket and wait. And then support will get with you and you will get a response. So keep an eye on that open tickets section of your support account, the support aspect of your account, and you'll get a response. And then you can work with them from there. And they should be able to resolve most things pretty quickly, especially if they are either directly related to this outage or, you know, some kind of side related issue. They should be able to get those resolved pretty quick. All right, so now that we have Persona server issues out of the way, and yes, I have told our IT team to make sure that the servers stay away from the single mult, especially when it's meant to be, you know, August, and August is a dry month for IT. So with that all aside, let's get into tonight's show. After, you know, taking up 10 minutes of the show to basically cover that, Tony Cardona is the first in the door for the first time. Congratulations, Tony. You beat everybody, including Billy, who would normally be right on the button as soon as I launch or upload the show. So you beat him. Well done to you. And the W5 family are next in the door, followed by Daryl Harrison and Brett Marler, Tony Stringer. Dave is here. We got Keith from Radio Top Frumpet. We got Kyle Traduziak. We got Paul Morgan. We got Dwayne. And we have Stephen Wilson. We got, I think I already said Bobby Booth. We got Paul Morgan, I think I already said you, and we got Ron the Keyman as well. So we got 14 people here, which is not too bad for a Songwriting Simplified show. And we do have a couple of questions. Excuse me, to start the show. Brett Marler is going to watch the replay. Hello to you, Brett. Hope you enjoy the replay, because he's got a rehearsal tonight. And he's leaving a like, so he likes it already before we've even started. So I need to make sure that this is a darn good show. So please help me out with good questions. So we've got Dave with the first question, talking about flatted fives / diminished chords. I love diminished chords. And I love -7 flat 5 chords, or half diminished chords as well. They are awesome. And I actually like using them for improvisation as well, because if everyone else is playing a dominant 7 chord, I can use flat 5. I can use -7 flat 5 chord tones to improvise with, and to create some extra spicy tension, especially if I'm using a diminished or a half diminished chord from a half step above. I like doing that. Creates loads of tension, sounds very, very modern and sophisticated, and it really isn't sophisticated. It's really simple. It just sounds amazing. So yes. So his question is, let's say the key of C with A being the relative minor. That's very good. You know your majors and minors. If I play a flat 5 chord, it's just part of a 7th chord within the key, right? But it could be a tritone. All right, I think you may have a couple of different concepts slightly confused and intertwined when they're not really. But that said, I'm not 100% sure, because I'm going to explain why I'm not 100% sure. Because a half diminished chord or a -7 flat 5 chord, which is what I think you're talking about, can be based on any degree of the scale. Technically, if you're in a minor key, then only certain degrees of the scale will be a flat 5 chord or a minor 7 flat 5 chord. For example, chord 2. So let's take the key of C minor. Let's change that sound to something more easily distinguishable. So there's C minor. So chord 2 is a minor 7 flat 5. Chord 3 is major 7. Chord 4 is minor. Chord 5 is augmented. And then chord 6 is major 7. And then chord 7 is going to be this strange sounding chord, which is kind of like another kind of augmented chord. Okay, so sounds very, very nice. But if we're in the key of C major, then the only one that's a minor 7 flat 5 chord is the chord built on the 7th degree. Which, if I change the bass note to a G, we get G9 instead. That's just a little extra added bonus there for you. But you can do this thing. I call this a disguised 2-5-1, where I might be in the key of C major, where I might do a minor 2-5 instead of major 2-5, but still end on the major tonic. Like if I'm doing something bluesy that's maybe from like the middle 1920s or early 1930s, this was a popular way to end your tune. All right, so you hear that quite a bit in Gershwin, Cole Porter, Irving Berlin, because it was, in the 1920s, 1930s, that was kind of a popular kind of 2-5-1, doing the minor 2-5 but ending on the major tonic, because it's kind of bluesy. You can do this a different way and do minor 4. And then end on the major as well. So diminished chords can be based on any degree of the scale that you want. It kind of all depends upon context and where you are going to. So what is your destination? I mean, if you think about this in terms of, a railroad, for example, you arrive at your railroad station in your town. And if you go to the ticket office and you just say a random place name that happens to have a station, they'll want to know some more context. Like, are you going one way or are you going return? Or they may tell you that there is no direct train. You have to change at X other station, for example. So they need context to know what to sell you. So in the same way, with music, it's all about your destination, particularly with chord changes. It's all about your destination, how you're going to get there. And of course, there are multiple different ways to get from one chord and one key center to any other, from one place to another. Okay? So it doesn't actually matter too terribly much about the means. It's all about how you get there. It's all about kind of what you want to achieve and your destination. So if you are in a major key like C major, but you want to go to G minor, then chord 6 becomes chord 2 minor in chord 2 in G minor, which then becomes that flat 5 chord. So this would be A7 flat 5. There's A minor 7 flat 5. There's A minor 7. You take the 5 and you lower it by a semitone. And now you are in G minor. Now, again, you can do this disguised 2-5, where you do the minor 2-5, but you end on the major instead of the minor. But for the most part, if you go into G minor, that would be how you do it from the key of C major. And then to get back to the key of C major, then you could just do. Okay. So it's all about context. It's all about where you're going to. So flat 5, diminished chords, and all that kind of thing, they need context. You can't just say flat 5 chords, C minor, C major, what about it? Okay. Now, are they tritones? There is a tritone built into a half diminished chord or minus 7 flat 5. You can call it either. Because there's this interval here between the tonic and the flat 5. That's a tritone. So you're right, there are tritones definitely involved with half diminished chords or minus 7 flat 5 chords. And if you continue to build it with another minor third on top, you get a fully diminished chord, which can sound particularly dark. The half diminished ones don't sound quite as dark because that upper interval is a major third rather than a minor third. So it doesn't sound quite so dark. Whereas you're stacking up minor thirds in a fully diminished chord, and it sounds really dark. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps answer your question as much as I can, given the information you've given me. If you've got like a little bit more context, that would help me as well. Kyle says that he's noticing a general revamp of the main personas.com website. Yet it has been tidied up a little bit. Some of the menus look a little bit slicker and smarter. That's for sure. I'm going to scroll down, see what else we have. Let's see. Tony Cardona says, I've often wondered how you went about recording your intro song, i.e. mics used, live musicians, what was the process? Well, with this intro song, there's not really a massive amount of secret to it, to be honest. There's not really a whole lot to it. Let me show you. Let me actually show you so you can see. So this is actually the intro music, and we've got a flugelhorn. We have lead architect playing a nice little pad thing, and we've got another lead architect here. So if I solo these guys together, you can hear what these two sound like. So this lead architect thing is kind of like doing this plinky bell thing, which I kind of liked and reminded me actually of 1980s ballads, actually 1980s power ballads, where that was kind of a thing. You know, it was kind of a bit of an ear candy thing back in those days. And then we've got a piano, which is the Nord here. And then we've got a couple of guitar tracks here, which sound like this. And then they don't play the last chord. So those are real guitars. What else do we have here? We've got upright bass from Presence, and then we've got a nice little bossa nova drum loop. And that's pretty much it, really. The flugelhorn is my flugelhorn, which I actually don't have anymore because it never actually belonged to me, sadly. It was on very, very long-term loan, and the guy who I had borrowed it off actually needed it back. So unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. I am hoping that when he has finished his tour, I might get it back for a bit, because I get to basically use it when he's not on the road. But at the moment, he's on the road, so I don't have the flugelhorn to play at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully, within the next few months, I might get to play it for a bit, and then he'll go back out on the road, and he might need it again. But yeah, it's a nice horn. A very, very nice horn. And I'm not the greatest flugelhorn player ever. Not by a long stretch. I used to be pretty good. I'm kind of okay now. I wouldn't record me ordinarily except for this theme tune. But I wouldn't ordinarily record me because I don't think I'm up to like a professional standard. I do have a very good friend who is a great flugelhorn player. Different person than the person whose horn I was telling you about. And his name is Luke Richards. He is an amazing flugelhorn player. And if you listen to the theme tune to my other show, my Sunday Night Live show, that's him. That's Luke on flugelhorn on that track there. This one was me. So it's maybe not the most complicated melody ever. Because I don't really have the chops that he has. He's a much, much better horn player than I am. He has a much nicer tone as well. So yeah, so not really much to say about it other than I'm just using the mic that I'm sat in front of right now for recording the flugelhorn. And then everything else is either virtual instruments, or it's DI'd guitar, or it's the Nord, basically. I would love to replace the upright bass track with a real upright, but I don't have one of those anymore either. Unfortunately. I would like to buy another upright actually, but they are ludicrously expensive to get a really, really good, high quality professional upright bass. You're talking 20, 30,000 pounds. So it's like you could take out a mortgage to get one. And I otherwise don't really have the need in terms of playing. I don't actually have the need for a real upright bass. I have looked at electric upright basses. They are definitely a much cheaper option than a professional acoustic upright bass. Who knows? Maybe Christmas I might get one. We'll see. But that's a good question. Dave says, thanks for explaining. So it's the 7th that pushes the degree. I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, I need to read the bit that you put. Try G diminished, G flat 5 in C major. Okay, well, when you say G flat 5, there's G, just flat 5. That's not really a diminished chord. That's just G with a flat 5. And it doesn't really resolve to C major very well. Not really resolving. Where a G diminished is all a stack of minor thirds. That kind of does resolve, but not very satisfactorily. What really resolves when you are doing chord 5 to chord 1 is dominant. If you do diminished, it doesn't really resolve. Now, if I did this diminished chord, this G diminished chord, and I went down to G flat major, now that would resolve. Watch this. Or if I resolved upwards to a minor chord a half step above. You know. Now that does work. Okay, that does work. So if I do that diminished thing, I'm going to have to resolve that up a half step. Okay. And you can just keep going up chromatically, to be honest. Okay, but doing G diminished or G flat 5, where are you going to? Again, it's the destination that's the key thing here. So that does resolve upwards to A flat minor. Okay, the G diminished resolves upwards to A flat minor. A half diminished goes up to B flat minor. B diminished goes to C minor, and so on and so forth. It's all about the destination, just playing G minor and where are we going? You know, where are we going? What's our destination? Okay, Ron says, I thought that he was maybe talking about building a chord off the flat 5 of the key, but then it would have to be determined if it's major, minor, augmented, or diminished. Yes, so if you're building something off, if you're building something off a root that is a tritone away from the key center. So if we're in C major, then the tritone is G flat, okay? Because there's 5, there's a flat 5, okay? So if he's building off of a flat 5 here, that's going to resolve downwards to F major. So okay, so 2, flat 2, 1 in F major, basically. Sorry. I don't know why I'm playing this as a bossa nova. So it's all about destinations. So tritonal substitutions are one way to get from one place to another place by a nice, easy bit of voice leading. So G minor 7, drop that low note down, 1, drop that note, the G down to a G flat. Now we're down in F. And I managed to get myself from, I have no idea where I went, all the way back. I think I went to E flat minor, and I managed to get myself back to C major by tritone substitutions mostly. So when we're talking about diminished chords and we're talking about tritonal substitutions, those are two different things. They're not the same. They are related. They have similar things, but they're not the same thing. Tony says, cool, real guitars used Ampere, flugelhorn, also real what mic. This mic here, I recorded the flugelhorn with my Rode NT1, which is right in front of me. And guitars, yes, I did go into Ampere. I went into Empire with a little bit of chorus and a little bit of reverb and a splash of very subtle delay. Yeah, not a problem, Dave. Dave, you know, it's important. Questions are important. That's how this show actually works, is it works on questions. So always feel free to ask questions, for sure. Just Bob says, just passing through on a break at work. Have a great show. Hit that like button. I will watch replay back to normal schedule next week. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate you passing through and exhorting everyone to hit that like button. Appreciate it a lot. As it turns out right now, we have 14 people watching, but we have 16 likes. So we are 2 ahead on likes, which is a good place to be. I appreciate that, guys, very much. All right, so if you want me to go over tritonal substitutions again, we can do that. We can actually do that in a whole separate show, in a bit more detail. But essentially, tritonal substitution is you're substituting one chord for another chord that is a tritone away, 3 whole tones away. Because the 2 chords, in order to be a substitute, need to have common tones. It's like in a soccer game. If you are the manager of the team and you are substituting one tired forward and you look at your bench and you see, I've got a forward here who hasn't been on the park yet. I can trade the forward who has been playing for all the games so far with the forward who has got fresh legs. He's not played yet. So he's as fresh as a bunny with a new Duracell battery shoved up his arse. And the guy coming off is tired and needs to rest, right? That's a straight swap, okay? That is a substitution. So in the same way, a tritone substitution needs to have common things. So in the football analogy, you're replacing one forward with another forward. Okay? Sometimes you can substitute a forward for a center forward or an attacking midfielder sometimes. And they would be happy to play up front because they are aggressive midfielders and they will happily go up front. No problem. So that's not quite a like-for-like substitution, but it will work because there is enough common ground between a forward and a center forward to make it work. And to get results that you want. Same with substitution chords. You don't have to do a tritonal substitution, but a tritonal substitution that works is where you've got 2 notes or more in common. So let's take a D7 chord, D, F sharp, A, C. That is a D7 chord. Okay? Now, if we count down from our D, 3 whole tones, that's, 3 whole steps, you American folks. We go C, that's 1 whole tone, B flat, that's another whole tone, A flat, that's the daddy right there. That's your 3rd whole tone. So we are replacing a D7 with a chord that is built on A flat. So in order for it to work, it's got to have at least 2 tones in common. So let's take out the 5th. We're not concerned about the 5th of the chord. Really, when we come to harmony and pop and jazz and rock, really we're talking about root, 3rd, and 7. Everything else is extraneous. Okay, so 5ths, forget those. Don't need them. Because this still works. Okay? Still totally functions like a D7 should do. It resolves to G, right? Okay, so it still does its job without the 5th. Okay? So, let's take these 3 notes. Let's swap this note, this D, for the A flat. And now we have an A flat 7 chord. But watch the magic that takes place here. Whoops. that resolves, okay? That resolves just as well as the D does. See that? There's the D, going to G. There's the A flat, going to G. Does the same thing. Why? Because the C and the F sharp are common to both chords, both the D and the A flat. They just do a different job. So in the D7 chord, the F sharp is the third and the C is the seventh. Okay? Whoops. Okay? All right, so that's D7. There's a 7, there's a third, and they resolve in that general direction. Now, let's swap the D for an A flat, but keep these other two notes. So now the 7th of the D is now the 3rd of the A flat, and the 3rd of the D is now the 7th of the A flat. So they've reversed roles. Okay? So that's why they work, which is why I can do, or I can do, they do the same job, exactly the same job. Okay? That's why tritonal substitutions work. Because it replaces just chord 5 with chord flat 5 of your new key. So instead of going 2, 5, 1 in G major, we're going 2, flat 2, chord 1. And that's why tritones work. All right, I'm not going to labor that too terribly much more. Dave says, nice metaphor, you need a teaching gig, like a brick and mortar school. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt and the Kiss Me Quick hats. I have been a high school teacher and I have also been a university composition professor, teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students. So I've taught the entire spectrum from high school all the way through to university, in actual bricks and mortar schools, colleges, universities. I've done the whole range. I did that for many years. And as for university, yes, I still do teach a little bit at university. I think I mentioned this before. My day job is Presonus. What I do most of my time is, this is a full-time gig at Presonus, right? But I also do workshops and I do a summer school during the summertime for university students to, so the summer school is, in fact, I do 2 summer schools. I do a jazz summer school where we do improvisation. And I also do a composing, workshop, which is like a 2-week workshop thing. And that helps university undergrad and postgrad students with their composing works for their portfolios that they have to submit at the end of their degree courses or at the end of their year, whichever section of the course it is that they are composing music for. So I do those, but I have also taught the full degree course as well. Can I explain negative harmony? Yes, but not in 8 minutes. Negative harmony is complicated stuff, and it's kind of a little bit outside of the scope of Songwriting Simplified. because most people are not going to be using or applying negative harmony to popular music styles or some jazz stuff. You're not really going to be dealing with negative harmony. But yes, I can make some videos on negative harmony. But it is kind of a little bit outside the scope of Songwriting Simplified. But if enough people would like some videos on negative harmony, I will make them. But there's got to be a decent demand, because it will take time to basically put together something like a 1, 2, or even 3-part little mini series on negative harmony. Because negative harmony is not something you can teach in 5 minutes. Because I don't want to gloss over how it works, or gloss over terminology, or gloss over concepts, key concepts that you need to understand in order to be able to understand how negative harmony works. But it is a fun subject. And in the meantime, you can check out Jacob Collier's more than ample and more than significant body of work on YouTube talking about negative harmony. He's done actually some lectures on negative harmony, and they are really, really good. So well worth checking those out. Tony says, I don't know if you're familiar with the song Creep by Radiohead playing in G major, but they incorporate a B-flat major chord. Would this be considered a secondary dominant chord? Kind of, if it was a dominant chord. If it was a B-flat 7 chord, then yes, it would be considered a secondary dominant chord. Why? Because it's built on the flat 3 of the chord. The flat 3 of the chord. The flat 3 of the key. So G major. So there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? So it's built on the flattened 3rd degree. So if you're in G, then they've got this chord in here. And it does kind of work. For example, you might do something like this. In fact, there's a very, very, very well-known pop song from the 1960s, I think, that has those chord changes. I'll leave you to figure out what that is, because I don't want to get hit for copyright. But yeah. And I've kind of jazzed it up a bit to kind of disguise it just a little bit. So yeah, a B-flat major chord or a major 7 chord would just be a color chord. It's a chromatic chord that doesn't belong. So in that particular case of that chord progression there, we went from G to B-flat 7, which is a 5-1 in E flat. Temporary modulation, and then we do chord 5 back to chord 1. Okay, so we're going chord 1, 5-1 in E flat, and then 5-1 in G. Okay, now notice those two key centers, G and E flat, are related together by an interval of a major 3rd. And the reason why I identify that is because that's a particular interval that you also find in the chord changes of John Coltrane's Giant Steps, because that kind of goes between B major, E flat major, and G major. So it's kind of spelling out this kind of major 3rds related thing. Let's see. Oh, it's B major. Okay, yeah. Okay. Same kind of deal. Depends on the destination. But in this case, that would be a major chord built on the 3rd degree of the scale. which can sound nice if you're going to chord 6, E minor, and then back to chord 5 to go back to chord 1. Or even if you go to chord 4 instead and do a plagal cadence. So, you know, you'd go. So basically that's the 5-1 in E minor, which is the relative minor of G major. Then chord 4 to chord 1 is a plagal cadence in G. Now, what if I was to totally jazz that up in a completely and utterly inappropriate way and just stuff in a bunch of tritone substitutions there, just because we can and just because it's fun? So, let's go G. Now, what is a tritonal substitution for this B major chord? Well, we could do an F7. Yeah, we could try that. With the flat 9. That kind of works. I like that. Yeah, I like that. So instead of going G to B, I can go G to F7 flat 9. And I can do that. And then I can go to C, and then I can go A flat 7, back to G again. But in this case, what have we got? We've got G, B, going to C. Yeah, that's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all to hear that. And then, of course, you've got the most melancholic interval of a set of chord changes of all time. The minor 4 going to 1. It's the saddest thing you'll ever hear. It's really melancholic. So, oh my gosh, that is so melancholic. Yeah, going chord 4 minor to chord 1. It really tugs at the heartstrings. But I love that. Jazzed up creep never sound any better. Yeah, totally. It's like creepy bebop, I guess. All right, so we got 10 minutes left of the show. Anybody got any other questions? I like that. But yeah, it's a good little thing, having, instead of going B minor and going to chord 4, you know. So yeah, instead of going minor up to chord 4, which is kind of the more logical approach, and it fits with the key center, do the, you know, whoops. Yeah, I kind of like that. See, you could substitute here. Instead of doing the C, you could do the E minor and get exactly the same result. Now, I know they don't do that. And you can still do the C minor to G, right? It still fits. Right? Still works. And this is why sometimes you don't need a tritonal substitution. You just need a diatonic substitution. And that's what I did there by using E minor instead of C major. Why does that work? That works because we've still got the same notes in common. So what does a C major have that an E minor also has? Well, it also has an E and a G. Right? They're the same thing, right? Yeah, kind of, it is a little bit like Easy Like a Sunday Morning. Yeah. Good song, that. But for going back to this, the chord changes from Creep, instead of going up to C and then C minor, you could go B and have that as a 5-1 in E minor, and then do your C minor to G, your chord 4 minor to chord 1. That actually works quite nicely, and I think it would still fit the melody if you did that. And it just provides like an extra little bit of a change and a little bit of a I'm not saying that going to, I'm not saying that that's wrong necessarily. I just think going to the C major is a little bit weak coming from the B major. Okay? Whereas that's a bit stronger, a bit more convincing. And then you can either do the major 4 or the minor 4. It doesn't really matter. Either works just as well, in my opinion. Billy says he did a gig with Lionel. I have done a gig with Lionel too. We have something in common, my friend. Yeah, Lionel's a great guy. And the interesting thing about Lionel is he knows pretty much next to nothing about music theory. He really doesn't. But what he does know, and what he does know instinctively as a piano player is what sounds good and what feels right under his fingers on the keyboard. So, is Lionel a great piano player like Billy Joel or Elton John? No, he's not. But he's a good piano player. He's not bad at all. And actually, he does have a decent range of fairly sophisticated harmony. Some of it a little bit jazz orientated. He just doesn't know, he wouldn't say, oh, this is an A flat 7, sharp 11, flat 9. And I'm using that as a passing chord. He doesn't know any of that stuff. He knows what it sounds like, but he doesn't know what it is, how to describe it, how to enunciate it. Lionel Richie, yes. Yes, I have. I have done a gig with Lionel. Oh, so many years ago, though. Many years ago. Probably 1996. I would think. 96. Maybe 97, but probably 96. And it was just one thing. It was just a one-night deal. I nearly said one-night stand, but that would be inappropriate. It was just a one-night deal. I played one night, and that was it. I was depping for somebody in his band. But I can tick it off and say, I have played with Lionel Richie. And the cool thing about that is that when I was a booking agent for my university, it meant it just made it a lot easier for me to book him. For things like the Freshers Ball and stuff like that, I could book him and his band. He's not cheap, I'll tell you that much. But he's actually a really, really nice guy. I got on along with him very, very well. Dave says Betty misses teaching. Not really, and I'll tell you why. Because I still do teach. I teach on this channel twice a week, but like I said, I still do some university stuff as well. So, yeah, so I don't have to miss teaching because I still do it. All right, we are 1.5 minutes away from the end of the show, and I want to say a big thank you to everybody tonight for all of your great questions. You guys have asked some belters again. Kyle has a question which I didn't get to, so I'm gonna answer that now with the remainder of the show. But thank you very much, everybody, for all of your great questions. I appreciate it a lot. So Kyle says bridge. I have to scroll up to get it. Bridge, change key, or tempo, or both. So I think that's bridge, colon. What should we do? Change key, tempo, or both? Again, it depends upon what you want to achieve. What does the song tell you to do? That's really the key thing. What does the song tell you to do? What do the lyrics need? What does the arrangement need? If you think when you get to your final bridge before you go to your final chorus, heck, this needs a bit more of a lift, then a key change can definitely do that for you. Even if you go up a half step, if you're in G major for the whole of your song, and then you get to the bridge going to the last chorus, heck, go up a half step. It's a little bit cliche, and it's been done to death, but if you do it right, you can make it work very, very well. So yeah, a key change can certainly provide a bit of a lift. There is a song that I did an arrangement of for this singer-songwriter. It's her song. But the thing that she was having difficulty was with making the chorus of the song stand out, and actually having the range of the melody of the chorus fit her voice. The verse fit perfectly. The chorus, not quite so much. It actually was a little bit high for her. And so it made her voice just sound a little bit nasally in the chorus and a little bit screechy because she was stretching to try and reach those notes in the chorus. But the chorus sounded great. The verse sounded great. Put the two together, didn't quite work. So I had to find a way to make them work. And so this is what we did. This seems to be the theme of tonight, that songs in G major. Well, the verse was in G major, and we did a little bit of practice with that chorus to try and find what's going to work for her and what's going to work for the song without it sounding weird. Now, because ordinarily, if you're going to do a key change for the chorus, you really should leave it for the last final chorus. Well, in this particular case, I needed to do it for every chorus. So I needed to have it as a key change that was not going to make the next verse sound deflated. So what we did was we did the chorus in E flat major. And then when we did the final chorus at the end of the song, we went to E major instead of E flat. So that last chorus was up just a little bit more. And not only did the chorus now fit the verse much better, and she sang it with a lot more confidence, but that final chorus also had a nice little lift to it. So how did I do it? Well, we're in G major. I needed to get to E flat. Now, as we talked about earlier, it's related by an interval of a minor third. So it's not that difficult to get to. So I basically did this. I went G, D over F sharp, G over F, E7 with the flat 9. And now we were in E flat major. So I could do... and I could go back to G major just like that to get back for her verse, okay? And then when we did that last chorus, instead of going to E flat, we went to E major. So I did this instead. So we went G, D over F sharp, G over F, and then I did B7. And that took me to... that took me to E major. And then we finished the song in E major. And it worked really nicely. Really nicely. All right, so that's us at the end of the show. And tomorrow, there is a Studio One meetup tomorrow night. So if you want to carry on there, you can carry on there. And that's us done for tonight's show. So, let's see. I just want to check I haven't missed anything. The Boyzone stand-up on key change was done to death, but it can work up or down. Yes, it can. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's us done. I will be back here on Sunday for Sunday Night Live. Looking forward to it. If you have Studio One questions, recording, mixing, mastering, those kind of questions, then get them in the chat on that particular day. Or if you have a much bigger question, maybe, that is going to take up too much of the chat, then by all means go to the web address at the bottom of the screen here and click on Contact Us, and you can send me an email, and I will take email questions. I will start the show with email questions. I've done that for Chris Maragna already a couple of times. Rich Cresswell has a Lander session all set up if you guys want to hang out there after the show. I'm going to go and have a lie down. I've had a very long day. But that's us done. Thank you very much to everybody for being here. Thank you to all 20 of you that smashed the like button. If you've not subscribed yet, please go down there and hit the subscribe button and select all notifications, all that stuff. We are 105 subscribers away from 6,000. So that's our next target, 6,000, and then from there, the long haul to 10,000. So I want us to get to 6,000 before Christmas. That would be awesome. If we could get there before Christmas, that would be amazing. It's my birthday on October 9th, so if we could do it by October 9th, that'd be awesome. It'd be my 50th birthday, 6,000 subscribers. We could combine the two things into one. Why the heck not? All right, folks, I will see you all on Sunday for Sunday Night Live. Good night, everybody.